Welcome to the Rowe Report, a podcast that brings you the latest news, exclusive interviews, and valuable insights from the region's top real estate leaders. And now, our host, Elizabeth Rowe.
Welcome everyone to the Rowe Report, where we help agents like you think, feel, and act like a pro. I'm your host, Elizabeth Rowe, the owner and broker of Rowe Real Estate.
My name's Adam Robison. I'm the station manager here at Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX, and I'm really excited, Elizabeth, about us getting to start the Rowe Report today. And I know that one of our topic for today is short-term rentals.
Yes.
And this is something that I'm really kind of interested in because my wife and I, we have kind of a nice place and it's paid off. And I thought, wow, it'd be great to turn this into a short-term rental. But my wife seems a little bit afraid about that. So
that's really common.
Yeah. Well, what experience do you have with that?
Sure. I can understand being on the fence. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What all's involved in it? What kind of money are we going to make from it? What kind of expenses will we have from it? These are all questions that I hope to bring you answers to for today's episode with our expert and just lovely guest. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into ways that you as agents can help your investors also answer some of these questions so you don't look, silly trying to say, well, I'm not really sure. I don't have any experience in that.
When we return, we'll have our interview with Misty Van Hooser, and the conversation that she and Elizabeth have you need to catch. So we'll be right back right after these messages from our sponsors. Get ready to dive into the captivating world of real estate with The Rowe Report, the brand new podcast that will keep you informed and inspired. Join host Elizabeth Rowe as she brings you insightful conversations, expert opinions, and inspiring stories from the real estate scene in Northwest Arkansas. Whether you're a real estate professional seeking to expand your knowledge or simply interested in the fascinating world of realty, this podcast is tailor-made for you. Elizabeth's passion for the industry and her commitment to delivering valuable content will ensure you gain fresh insights and a deeper understanding of the real estate market in Northwest Arkansas. Be sure to join us for each and every episode of the Rowe Report each Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. exclusively on Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX. Are you ready to become a true hometown hero? Join our exclusive program at Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX and make a lasting difference in our community. With your Hometown Hero membership, you'll not only be invited on 2 separate podcast episodes over the life of your 6-month membership, but you will also enjoy a well-deserved recognition at every event sponsored by Hometown Heroes. Don't miss this opportunity to shine. Join today for just $99 per month and let your heroic spirit ignite positive change. No commitment required. Cancel anytime. It's Hometown Heroes with Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX.
And we're back. Joining us today is someone that I truly respect in the industry and is just really my go-to for all things short-term rentals. Misty Van Hooser, thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So Misty, you and I have developed a relationship over the years, and, I love what you're doing in the short-term rental space. Can you tell us just a little bit about you and, why really you've kind of become dubbed the short-term rental expert for the industry?
Sure. So it all started on kind of a personal front. I was working for corporate, and I have 3 girls, and I've lived in Northwest Arkansas now for almost 5 years. But working for corporate was what brought me here. And I was just in this pace of wanting to spend more time with my kids. And so I decided to do what Adam is looking to do. And I turned my personal home into a corporate furnished rental, which is a short-term rental essentially. And it's just from there, my career, it just turned into a career for me. I had great success with it. And so then I went on to get licensed and certified as an Airbnb designer. And then I also got my real estate license. And so
you've been a busy girl.
Yes, it just turned into a career, and I was able to step away from corporate and really be present with my kids and do something that I love and really serve the community through my experience.
I love that. I love that. That's great. So really, for our agents today, some things that I'd like to discuss are just some industry trends, things that they need to be looking for their investors or, possibly themselves,
Sure.
I also want to talk about some profitability points, what makes some Airbnbs or, short-term rentals more profitable than others. And then also the dreaded topic of government regulations, city regulations, things like that. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in. That sounds good. I'm excited.
So as far as industry trends go, can you tell us a little bit about what's hot, what's not, and just kind of where we see the market going?
Yeah. So short-term rentals have become super popular, as we all know. There was a time and day whenever it was like, oh, what's an Airbnb? It's staying in someone's personal home. Like, this is kind of crazy. But now everyone knows what they are. And so they've become super, super popular. And with that has come the trend for needing to stand out, right? Like, so people are creating experiences now. And then also another nuance to it is like cities and towns are having to develop regulations and things of that sort. So there's that piece of it. And then there's also making sure you have proper property management in place to help manage these properties. There's a lot of different components that go into it. It's not just turning your home into a short-term rental and, things are and decorating it real cute and expecting things to turn out nicely. It is a business and there are a lot of layers to it.
Sure. Let's, with your design background with short-term rentals, let's talk a little bit about that and just what is expected now by guests versus, back when you could just slap it on Airbnb and throw some IKEA furniture in there or go down to, a consignment shop or wherever and just, paint the walls gray or beige or whatever and make a lot of money.
Yeah, no, there are many different ways to stand out now. It comes to how your business operates from the very beginning. How are you communicating with your potential guests? So that's a huge piece of it, making sure that your responses are very timely. And that's where a property management company really comes in handy. Sure. Because if you're busy like you and I, we don't have time to respond to them. There's going to be a gap anyway. So it's things like that. It's having the right technology in place for everything to operate very smoothly. And another thing when it comes to actual design, so it's really important to keep a base color. So typically you want to go with like white or something like that, but you also want to, and that's so that you can change, like decor with, with seasons or with trends that are coming in and things. Yeah. So like right now the trend is neutral, earthy colors, right? In our normal homes, but in Airbnbs, people are wanting more, stylist, like out of the box. They want an experience that they're not going to get at home. And so you want to create something with color and pop. Like yours, I think you have, what do you have? Like a colorful rainbow that goes across the wall or something?
It's a throwback to like a 70s S that's, painted some different colors that takes, through the kitchen, the living room, and it ties everything kind of together.
Right. So when they step into your space, they're stepping into like this 70s vibe. It's colorful, it's bright, it's fun. Their energy like shifts and it's happy. They can focus on making memories there and things like that.
That's really good. That's really good. I love that. So with regards to interior design and stuff like that, you're really just saying make sure that you're buying a space that isn't going to require a lot of work up front and something that you can really design in a way that, moves through the seasons or through even just trends in real estate.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
yes.
That's good. That's good. I love it.
Yeah. Finding a basic clean palette or something that can be transformed into a basic clean palette easily is really what you should look for when it comes to investment properties.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. I'm sure our agents that are listening out there will really appreciate that advice. So one of my other questions about short-term rentals is in regards to supply and demand. So, if you look at the stats through whether it's Price Labs or AirDNA, things like that, you see that, and even some of the social media news is, the sky is falling for short-term rentals. There's way too much saturation out there. Can you talk a little bit about that for the market and what that looks like?
Yeah. So first of all, it's anticipated to be a $19.39 billion business revenue
Was
this
that
year.
billion with a B?
Yes.
That is huge. That's a lot of money.
It is. That's what it's expected to bring in. So I would say the demand is still there.
Yes.
If that says anything. Now, narrowing it down to Northwest Arkansas specifically. We just reached a population in Northwest Arkansas of 500,000. And that is an indicator for developers and big time investors to want to come in and look at our area more. And so they'll start investing. And so that's going to be an increase in influx of people even more. So I would say that it's just going to grow more in our area. Not just that, it's our demographics here. Our demographics are insanely off the charts, amazing, from safety. We have no crime. We're an attraction. We've got the bike trails, and we've got all these festivals, and we've got, film festival, bike festival.
And I just saw that we were getting a soccer stadium.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
We are.
That was
Is that
just in the
Fayetteville?
news yesterday for Northwest Arkansas.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard about that. That's crazy.
Professional men and women's soccer teams. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
So just another opportunity for sporting events to have people come in.
That's
I like
right.
where you're going with that.
Yeah. So supply right now, I would say as far as Airbnbs go, yes, there's quite a bit, but the demand is still quite a bit. You can't have the same experience at a hotel that you can have in a home, right?
That's right.
And you can accommodate everything from corporate guests to families here for vacation, all different sort of things. So that's one thing that sets Airbnbs apart from the hotel. And really, they're not really your competition. There is a little bit level of that, but not so much as I think people tend to think.
So what you're saying is, if, for instance, people like Adam are talking about turning their home into an Airbnb, and his wife says, I don't know, I just heard on TikTok or whatever that the bubble's popping. You're saying that right here in Northwest Arkansas, we are sitting pretty for continued growth.
Absolutely, yes. And the key really is to make your property stand out and make sure you're capturing things like guest reviews, and make sure your location. Location is huge. You want to make sure you pick a great location. And also, we're going to talk about this in just a second, but you want to make sure that you look into the rules and regulations of that city that you want to invest in, because they vary, as we've talked about.
Right.
But
and all of this really kind of pivots around one key idea. And I think it's really what our viewers and listeners are looking for today. And that's the profitability points, right? Yeah. So your investors out there, they're going to want to know, not just when they're investing in long-term rentals, they're not just looking at cap rates and things like that, just the ROI, but, knowing what kind of, vacancy rates, for example, a property brings. So let's touch on that a little bit if you can. If you can, help our audience really understand what are the key factors that go into making one Airbnb profitable over another. What should agents be looking for?
Yeah, sure. So I think one key thing is location for sure. That determines demand. And then also, pricing strategy. That's key. Property condition and amenities. And that's where realtors come in and we can really assist our clients, is because we can identify, the condition and the amenities. Like maybe we are working with an out-of-state investor who's not familiar with that. And that's where we bring a level of knowledge that is of service to them and can help them accomplish their end goal, which is to obviously have a ROI, return on investment, right?
Right.
So those are some key things. Marketing and visibility is a factor that contributes to profitability.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Huge. I would say that's actually what was a key part of my success in my personal short-term rentals, was my ability to market my property. These people are seeing your property before they ever even come here. They're more than likely coming from out of town. And so marketing is, I would say, top priority, or should be.
So it's not just to set it and forget it.
No. And there's a big difference. Say you have really good pictures of your property and people can see themselves there and they can see themselves making that memory there or having that team bonding moment, whatever it might be. That's marketing. Your ability to help them visualize that before they even step onto the property. that's marketing, and that's a huge piece of your profitability and being able to charge higher prices than your next door neighbor or whoever your competition is.
Yeah. That's great. So in regards to helping agents help their investors, say, pick between two different potential properties that they might want to use as an Airbnb, right? So let's say, for example, for our local area, if they were going to look in West Fayetteville, out past the interstate, in little subdivisions where, they've got 100 homes that look the same versus maybe something downtown, how would you, if from an agent's perspective, how would you talk to an investor about, well, maybe this one out in West Fayetteville is less money for the purchase, but to also talk to them about why a downtown property would be better?
Yeah, it's more, so downtown property would be more desirable for short-term rental.
Even if it costs more.
Yes, because you're charging more. Short-term rental is a nightly rate. It's different. And that nightly rate varies depending on what, activities are happening, events, things like that in our area, or seasons.
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
I've noticed that with mine as well. So if there's a football game, basketball game, being within walking distance to the U of A, I can see how maybe that could help. Yeah,
I think with those like cookie cutter type homes, yes, you get that lower price point, but I think those are more suitable for long-term rentals, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's, again, why I think it's so essential and important to work with an agent who can inform you and bring that knowledge and share those key things with you that you otherwise may not know, especially if you're a first-time investor. Because a lot of people, for their first-time real estate investment, they go to Airbnb. They get captivated in the idea of like designing something, and the fun.
I'm guilty of that. Absolutely. It was so much more fun to design mine and work on it and actually do the labor than it is to manage it.
Yes. And then not just manage it, market it, like get it to actually make you money. And then there's pricing strategies. And there's so many components and layers to it. It is so much more than just getting creative and practicing your design skills.
Absolutely. Sure. That's great. Well, I know our viewers are going to love to hear a little bit more about that. And we'll have some links for you in the page notes and stuff to talk about, different ways to help investors find different properties and look at, when you're looking at these downtown properties, that might be $500,000. That seems like a lot of money, but your nightly rate, what you're saying, is going to be a lot more than something that's on the outskirts of town.
Yes. Absolutely.
Great. Speaking of town, let's talk about some city government and regulations. I know that's really been a hot topic and in the news a lot, and something that a lot of people worry about. So for our viewers and listeners out there, I think it's important to know that a lot of these towns, can we just go ahead and say all of them? Yeah. All of them require some sort of permit or business licensing. And the list keeps growing, right? So can you kind of speak to that a little bit about what we're seeing in that environment and how it's changing and how it's becoming, good and bad for neighborhoods and just the people that live in them?
Sure. I think the first thing is not necessarily don't be worried about that, but be aware.
That's really good.
Yes, for sure. As agents, we need to be aware, and our clients need to be aware, for sure. And like you said, like every city, all of the regulations and laws are different. And so I suggest going to city council and being very plugged in there. I try to go to as many as I can. Most of my clients invest in like Bella Vista or Bentonville primarily. I'm starting to get some in Fayetteville too. So I really try to attend those city council meetings just so that I can have as much knowledge as possible to bring back to my clients or future clients. But to touch on that a bit more, it's essential to understand the intricacies of government regulations, because it does vastly differ from city to city. So speaking of government and city councils and things of that sort, laws and regulations, the reason our cities are not putting all of these rules in place to be overly controlling or limiting, it's really because at the end of the day, we're building these Airbnbs in communities, in neighborhoods, right? They're homes, they're for residents. And so what they're doing, these laws and rules that they're putting in place are really to preserve the pride of ownership in neighborhoods.
Oh, that's great. Because, we are communities. This isn't just where we live. It's where we work. It's where we play. It's, was it Robert Frost? Don't quote me. That said, good fences make good neighbors. But, here in the heart of Northwest Arkansas, I really don't believe that. I mean, people interact with their neighbors and,
we do. Yes.
Block parties, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone's really close. And if you have an Airbnb, your neighbors are probably going to be your go-to, call people, or they should be anyway.
Yeah,
they're looking out for you typically.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see why local governments would want to preserve and protect that, but also give people the right to free enterprise, right?
Yes.
And ownership rights, things like that, an opportunity to earn an income. So it is a hard balance.
It is. I feel like they're doing a really good job, though.
That's great. That's great. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know sometimes for people that are looking to do something and then they're told no, it does feel unfair at times. And, some of the things, it's like any process, it can be refined, but hey, we're all working our way through the dark through this together. So yeah.
But as licensed realtors, we understand it from the lens of both sides, the residents
100%.
and also the investors. There's room for everyone at the table, right?
I love it. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'd really like to, close things up and just hear what your thoughts on for ways that local agents can get plugged into and just continue to stay informed and mastermind with people like yourself. What organizations or, things should agents be attending to kind of help sharpen their saw when it comes to short-term rentals?
Definitely the city council meetings, like I mentioned several times now.
Yes.
Cannot put enough emphasis on the significance and importance of that. But then also I've actually created, and I'm the founder of this group called NWA Short-Term Rentals.
I love this group. If you're not a part of this group, what are you even doing? I mean, it's chocked full of good information. I won't take your plug on that.
No,
it's
you're
really
good. Go for it.
It's just been so helpful for me as an Airbnb owner.
It's served as such a big resource for not just Airbnb owners, but also realtors, and then also investors, people who are not from here, and service providers, right? And resources. And I created this group because, believe it or not, my short-term rental, I started that business in the middle of the pandemic. And I had only lived here for 2 years. So I knew very few people. I was still new in the community. And then I couldn't go out in the community and find my resources. And so I was like, geez, I guess I'll create a space for everyone to join. And it just has turned into this magnificent place for people to come, communicate, collaborate, share, connect. It's been awesome.
That's really good. Yeah. I love it. Well, guys, the time has come. That's going to wrap up our first show of the Rowe Report. And I just cannot thank you enough, Misty, for coming on and just providing our agents in Northwest Arkansas just with amazing information on how to think, feel, and act like a pro. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
So good. Hey, until next time, this is Elizabeth Rowe signing off from the Rowe Report. And keep working hard, keep your head down, and doing the basics that make you a pro. Thanks again. See you next week.